You're listening to the Behind the Cover podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Shure, the premier choice for affordable, durable, and exceptional sounding microphones. With almost a century of microphone design legacy, Shure is committed to delivering immersive sound experiences that resonate with professionals and enthusiasts alike. Whether it's audio production, podcasting, live performances, conferencing, or any form of content creation, Shure is your go-to brand for high-stakes moments, offering reliability and excellence in sound. I'm Poppy Reid, and I am about to read the May 2020 Rolling Stone Australia cover, Misunderstanding Tones and I. How Tones and I defied the laws of music industry ascent and is rising above long sufferers of Australia's storied tall poppy syndrome, by Poppy Reid. Tones and I is smoking a cigarette backstage at Laneway Festival in Sydney. She puts it out, sweeps her long peach blonde hair out of her face, and motions for those around her to huddle in for a loose group hug. Her friends, Abby and Kurt, along with her co-managers, reps from Sony Music and YouTube, and even me, are invited to join the inner circle. I'm so grateful that we're all here, she says, assertive and stylish in a pristine Nike tracksuit. Because I was busking 8 months ago. She pulls away slightly, grinning widely before shouting, "Group high five!" A highlight reel of Tony Watson's last 14 months. Johnny Run Away, her first single and first song she ever wrote, went double platinum a few months after release in March 2019. Dance Monkey was released 2 months later and hit number one in 35 countries. The track spent 6 months at number one in Australia, beating the last record by 15 whole weeks. She broke a UK chart record held by Rihanna, who had 2 number one UK singles before she took the title with Umbrella in 2007. She was gushed over by Elton John and Jimmy Fallon. She won 4 ARIA Awards, nabbed 3 spots in the Triple J Hottest 100, and has accrued 2.2 million YouTube subscribers. Unlike some previous female Australian pop exports, the ones who were either discovered via Hunger Games-esque televised talent show or were dismissed until America took them under their bald eagle wing, Tones and I's trajectory was rather organic and homegrown. Tones moved from Melbourne's Mornington Peninsula to Byron 2 years ago to busk. Taking annual leave from her retail job at Universal Store, before eventually resigning, Tones replaced one small seaside town with another and inked a management deal off the back of her first street performance. As luck would have it, her now co-manager, Jackson Walkden Brown, was headed to dinner with his wife, and they stopped to watch Tones and I perform. After they stood in awe of Tones' playful yet utterly confrontational operation, this was pre-Dance Monkey, mind you, they skipped dessert to rush back and join the growing crowd. Walkden Brown slipped his business card in with a tip and played the waiting game. Tones had relocated back to Melbourne when Walkden Brown asked her to move in with him and his family. His house in the Gold Coast hinterland had a bush cabin off the back, and it was in its wardrobe where Tones wrote her global number one and second ever single, Dance Monkey. Written after one particularly trying night after busking in Byron, Tones had been performing for 6 hours when one drunkard stole her money and another tried to play her keyboard. After telling the crowd she was done for the night, she was booed. It wouldn't be the last time a crowd would treat her like she was their property, a monkey created to entertain. During her first festival appearance at New Zealand's Bay Dreams, a section of the crowd chanted, Dance Monkey, over and over, unwittingly feeding into the exact narrative the song was about. Here is a song the whole world knows. Here is an artist whose backstory and marketing campaign was better than fiction. Who was this Byron Bay busker with the powerful voice who was living out of her van just 1 short year ago? At this point in her career, Tones and I had released just 6 songs. Her festival sets included cover songs and unreleased tracks just to make time. Granted, she is defined by the intoxicating electro clash of Dance Monkey to many, but is the trade-off that she should be goaded on and off stage? I'm in an Uber on my way to Tony Watson's new home in Melbourne when her co-manager Regan Lethbridge texts me. 1 billion streams on Spotify today. 1.7 billion overall streams. Have fun with Tones. I arrive at the 2-story house, half expecting a celebration. It's lunchtime, so perhaps champagne is christening the carpet, and maybe Tones is jumping on a couch like she once did with Lewis Capaldi backstage at France's NRJ Awards. Her assistant Abby greets me with a hug at the door. She met Tones in September 2017 in Byron Bay and moved from the UK to take on the role. She's more than that, though. With a welcoming and effervescent energy, I can see why anyone would want to keep her close. The house has only recently been moved into. It's 40 degrees outside, and as sunshine splashes in from all angles, it's a cool reprieve from the typical Australian summer heatwave. Abby leads me through a lounge room where at one end, a little girl, the daughter of another friend, is watching TV. At the other end of the room is a stack of framed platinum record plaques. They're crammed against one another on the floor. Tones and a few of her friends are in the next lounge room, watching YouTube through a TV and trying out a Shakti mat. Not exactly the revelry I was expecting for such a milestone. For the uninitiated, think of a Shakti mat as a 21st century bed of nails, made of thin foam and over 6,000 tiny plastic spikes. It's meant to relieve back pain, allergies, stress, and depression. Tones is dressed in a black and pink tracksuit with a cap pulled low over her forehead. Though she's been noticed in similar attire since she burst onto the scene last year, it's not a character costume nor a gimmick. It's an expression of freedom in a climate where pop stars can wear whatever the fuck they want. Her cheeks are peaches and cream, her eyes are an oceanic blue, and she has the title of her co-produced EP, The Kids Are Coming, tattooed on her hand, with an outline of an alien head. In conversation, she listens carefully and earnestly. She is soft-spoken, but flexes her South Melbourne accent from her formative years in suburban Mornington. Sitting across from me at an 8-seater table, letting her Uber Eats order go cold, Tones is wiping tears from her eyes. I'm beating out all these American artists. An Australian female artist is beating out all these American artists, and you guys make me want to leave the fucking country. Like, what are you doing to me? It's not like I'm Trump. Shit. Trump gets more respect than this. I suspect the reason Tones hasn't been adopted by lovers of quirky pop, the same fans who think Billie Eilish is here to save music and Lizzo is the second coming, is because of her fatal flaw. She's Australian, and she dared not to earn her stripes as a battler in the national pub circuit, thus giving Australians no ownership of her success. Instead, her songs did the travelling for her, picking up millions of fans across all four corners of the earth. Yes, you can be a great Australian pop export, but you best play the part. They want a star who says, I am your creation and forever in your debt, but I'll make sure my success is hard-earned and say I could never have done it without you. There's a difference between negative opinions that don't affect you, that are horrible, they don't need to be said, but if you want to say it, that's fine, she allows. But then there's really digging in and pulling out my heart and soul and just shoving it back in my face and beating me over and over again until I'm sitting here crying in my own home. No one even understands how bad it really is, she admits. How much do we have to fucking push someone? Does someone have to kill themselves? Tones and I has had an outstandingly fast rise to fame. And while most artists slowly build up their thick skin, Tones has not been afforded that luxury. For her, the retaliation for her success has been dramatic. Haters and trolls have the loudest voice on social media. So while the streams and accolades keep piling in from across the world, so does the hate from long sufferers of Australia's storied tall poppy syndrome. In the early months of her ascent, Tones became a canvas for people to paint their own bias. Tones is an industry plant. False. Tones is 19 years old and lies about her age. False. Tones is 26 years old and lies about her age. False. Tones' sound makes people turn off the radio. True for some, false for millions. But these are the comments she finds bemusing. The others, the graphic ones attacking her physicality, and those threatening her life, are too vile to even publish in Rolling Stone. Tones addresses her haters directly now. I promise you everything that you say, I feel about myself now. I promise you that I feel like shit all the time, so leave me alone now because there's nothing more that you can do. At this point in her career, Tones has lost agency in her narrative. She deserves to see herself, but her view is clouded by the voices she hasn't yet learnt to block out. If anything, the experience has sharpened her resilience. On stage at the ARIA Awards last November, she addressed the issue as she accepted the award for Best Female Artist. To a crowd of over 2,500 and another 417,000 watching at home, she said, "No one could have ever prepared me for the whole world judging me and comparing me to other artists." Sitting across from me now, she relaxes and beams a cheeky grin. If I didn't think about it before, I now know that I fucking deserve it because I decided to push through all this shit. Tones shows me a photo of Khalid leaning over her dressing room chair backstage at the Arias. She's looking up at him as her makeup artist strips off the synthetic skin she wore when she reprised Old Tones from the Dance Monkey video for her performance. The photograph was taken minutes before she went on stage to accept the Best Female Artist award. I had people on my hair, people peeling my face, I had my face latex hanging off on each side, and then someone comes in and goes, "Look, Khalid's outside. He really wants to meet you. Tones breaks into a dry grin. So he came in. He didn't even mention it. The pair exchanged numbers and soon after met for a 3-hour lunch in Sydney. I didn't take a photo. I didn't post about it. I just had a really good meeting. Something that didn't need to be shared, and it was very genuine. The fact one of Time's most influential people of 2019 wants to spend hours with Tones comes as no surprise to the people who know her best. Tones' friends are her mirror image, not in physical resemblance, but in their colloquialisms and body language. I wonder if they synced like this because they met, or had they always been kindred spirits? Kurt, a svelte Melburnian with a calming energy, is telling me what it's like to be the sole inspiration behind Tones' debut single, Johnny Run Away. She took that bad thing and made it something super positive and very inspiring. Kurt met Tones in 2012 when he was running the door for Habra Oyster Bar and Grill. The restaurant hosted live music from 8 p.m. on Tuesdays, and Kurt was the one who handed Tones, who performed as Tony Watson back then, her $30 cut from door sales. The pair eventually moved in together and worked together at Universal Store. One night at their home, Kurt opened up to Tones in the way only someone who knows their heart is safe can do. He told her of his coming out journey and how it had almost broken him. I love that that's no longer something I associate with myself or what I went through, he says. I've had people come up to me and say they've gone through similar things and it's really helped them. I wish there was something like that 10 years ago for me. In December last year, Tones hired Kurt and Abby as her joint personal assistants. But you won't catch her gushing about how she's in a position to put her friends on payroll. I don't think it's ever cool to be the boss of your friends, says Tones. They work hard, really hard, and I've seen them work hard for years. So to be able to give them a job that they deserve, that pays good money and lets them travel and have fun, that's the best thing ever. Abby offers one of the more telling insights into the psyche and impact of Tony Watson. She's not someone to say, you're a mate, come along for the ride. She is working hard. She doesn't give herself the credit of how much she's influenced other people. Tones and I is an iceberg. What you see is not what you get. Her fame does not commensurate her sales. The world is still learning about the soul songwriter behind the world's biggest multi-record breaking hit. Australia is yet to meet the Aussie larrikin, who has me in stitches when she tells me her biggest regret is the $900 pair of pants she bought in France. She read the tag wrong. Every time I see the pants in my wardrobe, I'm like, I've never worn you. Instead, there's a vigilante-esque swath of people trying to figure out her age under the guise of call-out culture. As Twitter and Reddit threads double over themselves in a vacuum of non-information about exactly how old she is, Tones refuses to engage. And why would she? The music industry is infamous for the rampant erasure of female artists over 40. So why would Tones essentially place a use-by date on herself and fuel her own symbolic annihilation? Not that she cares. The public obsession is just another source of bemusement for her. I never denied my age, she says matter-of-factly. I never lied about it. I just don't say anything now because, screw it. Now there's one thing I can have to myself. And I'll tell you this, she leans forward. Everything is wrong online. Backstage at Laneway Festival, her dressing room is packed. A rep from YouTube just presented her with a plaque for 1 million subscribers, and creative director and photographer Gigi McGee decked out the space top to bottom in graphics. But her fan base is growing at such a rapid speed that it's old news. She had just hit 2 million the week prior. At the end of 2019, she was at 100,000. She's now at 2.8 million. As the milestones come in thicker and faster than the time she has to actually celebrate them, Tones' story refuses to acknowledge the laws of music industry ascent. It should typically go single, EP, maybe another EP, hopefully a hit, global tour, then an album that hits top 5 if you're lucky. It could be said that Tones and I is working backwards, building her plane while it's flying. It feels radical. There's a manic energy and excitement surrounding her at all times. In a country where artists are relocating in droves to LA and London in a bid to overcome Australia's geographic handicap, Tones and I offers a new blueprint for future generations. She represents the possibility of a global career built out of regional Australia, sans a major record label deal, and without a stack of co-writers. When it comes to iconic Australian women in pop, Tones and I will eventually be said in the same breath as Sia and Kylie Minogue. Just like Sia, Tones is no pop pushover. The way she refuses to buy into traditional pop star tropes certainly has a lot to do with her success. Music fans are tired of the fat-lipped, thin-hipped, white glow commercials that now make up much of their Instagram feeds. Tones is infatuated with the subversive nature of pop. she has made the decision to not chase fame. Instead, she wants impact. At industry conference Big Sound last year, Tones orchestrated a silent protest. 30 actors gathered at the centre of Brisbane's Brunswick Street Mall in bespoke Tones and I white tracksuits, each painted repeatedly with the text, "The kids are coming." She was criticised for not having a clear message that day. However, ensuing discussions around racism, LGBTQIA issues, and climate change proved otherwise. She is not your pop idol. She is not yours at all. Her service is to art. "This dance monkey thing is like a blessing and a curse," she says. "It opened me up to so many more fans and to have so many people discover my music. But I don't want to be known for that until I die. It was one song I wrote," she says wearily. "It's not even my favourite song. The only thing that would make me really excited right now, the one thing that would make me so excited," she pauses, "is for people to just listen to one of my other songs." Tones may have a loaded relationship with fame at this point, but she understands the only thing worse than being targeted for her ubiquity is to have no ubiquity at all. On stage at Laneway Festival, she tells the crowd of her frustration as a punter. She would attend gigs and festivals and watch others live out their destiny. "I used to get so angry because I knew I could do that," she says from the edge of the stage. It's the speed at which she's mounted this current peak that she struggles with. "My emotions are pretty tame most of the time now," she tells me, a clear defense mechanism to sublimate her sadness. "It sucks because I think it comes from having so many things happen in such a short amount of time." Tones wants to help others learn from her experience. She believes the privilege of success comes with an unfettered responsibility to support those following in her footsteps. When a 16-year-old George Alice won Triple J's Unearthed High competition last August, Tones called her personally. It's not hard to know that she is probably going through a similar thing, even with a small amount of success, she says. "It happens all the time. I don't want to be seen as someone crumbling and falling. That's not the case," she assures. "If I was, I wouldn't be writing music and going on a world tour." It's during her onstage moments, when it's just her and the same red keyboard she used while busking, that she feels truly herself. There is an undeniable chemistry between Tones and her fans, the ones who get it. When she performs, she's in her element, reveling in her true identity. She's cheeky, she's fun, a little sassy even, with the voice and the moves to match. Charging the festival stage at Laneway, she performs new song "You're So Fucking Cool" about a party she attended in LA. There are elements of her true self in the music. Frustration, longing, loneliness, playfulness. This particular track features the lyrics, "I try to start a conversation, but I can't seem to relate. Yo, I'm about to get an Uber." Tones doesn't seem to realise that in these ingenuine moments, she's more relatable than ever. So I just read through the cover feature again. Have you read it recently?
No, I've
Not since 2020.
I have read it since then, but not recently enough that I could recall anything to the point.
It was such an interesting time. So it was May 2020 was when we released it. Global pandemic happened, but you were already this huge hit maker, breaking lots of records. You had a #1 album after this. You have then gone on to have this record-making achievement on Spotify. I was going to write record-breaking, and then I realized, no, it's record-making achievement on Spotify with 3 billion streams. We'll get into that later. You're now even more of a household name than you were then, but you're a global household name now. You're now married. You just finished a tour, a stadium tour with Pink. You toured the world with Macklemore. Life feels, on my end, so different, but the headspace that you were in then, I want to know whether it's so different to the headspace that you are in now.
Well, I remember enough about that interview being the only borderline in-depth interview I'd probably really ever done. I know enough about that to know how I was feeling at the time, and I definitely have grown into my shoes that way back then were too big for me, I think. And I was trying to figure out what I was even doing. And I definitely have become more confident in me as a human being, and I think that maybe has helped me as an artist.
And fame was also new to you then. You think of how fast you became global. You know, like I know that you'd been working hard as an artist for many years prior to Dance Monkey and Johnny Runaway blowing up, but fame on a global level was new to you. So I hope that you're not hard on yourself, because a lot of people with a lot more resilience probably would have broken.
Yeah, well, I think definitely, like, and I can say this so confidently because it's such a passing time in my life, and maybe a roller coaster, and I maybe go back down or whatever, but I'm in a good space and I've been for a while. So definitely it broke me in terms of how much I liked myself. I didn't like myself at all. I preempted hate, even if I wasn't publicly doing things. I would just see myself through the most hateful haters' eyes. And that was really bad for my mental health. And I see a lot of people, and even now, more so going through it with TikTok, so apparent now. And I think that the hardest part was starting to like myself again, because I just didn't want to do anything. I always obviously just wanted to be a busker. I never anticipated my music blowing up. I never anticipated even releasing music. And then when I did, I think in that time, a lot of people, without me, even having this dream, a lot of people pushed me up and up and up, or listened to my music, which then pushed me up and up and up, and then decided, and you don't have a say in it. Like, this is happening to you. And then they kind of just left me there and went, like, I would say they pushed me into a point and then smashed me 10 times harder once I got there. And I definitely did not have a say in either or which way. I didn't do really any in-depth interviews apart from this one. I wanted to stay as private as possible. No one could ever say I went above and beyond to try and push my public figure or career. And so I just kind of let the hands that were dealt to me be dealt, and let everything sizzle down so I can step back and assess my life and figure out if I love this, if I want to do this, if it's worth it after experiencing maybe the biggest high and the biggest low. Now that I'd gotten to experience that all within a year and a half, is it now worth it to continue? And I told myself, at my own time, my own way, I will keep going with music. The highs do outweigh the lows, and now I'm in a place where I see a lot more love, and that maybe isn't because there is a lot more, or maybe because my mind has shifted into a more positive space. And I'm definitely happy to be here now.
Yeah. I left your place in Melbourne and I tweeted, and I didn't write your name. No one would have known it was about you. When I left yours, the feature didn't come out for a couple of months later. And I'd love to get your reaction to the tweet that I wrote. I said, an interview I did today has made me reflect on the glaring damage Australia's tall poppy syndrome has on artists. They don't owe us anything. They're not ours to dismiss. We have a responsibility to not be assholes to those who are already wearing their hearts on their sleeves.
Wow, I've never been on Twitter before. I don't know.
Yeah, I know you avoid Twitter, but I wrote that actually kind of informed my intention behind the piece, because I remember sitting there and you were crying and I was starting to tear up myself, and I had this moment where I was like, holy shit, I want to just stop recording. I want to stop and I want to come over and I want to hug you and I want to say I'm sorry. But then I was like, but I need to let Tones tell her story at the same time.
I appreciate that. It's, and the media hasn't been my best friend. I think it's always better talking points when you write negative pieces. And I understand that and I get that. And so that's been another, really keep them at arm's length. They're already going to say stuff about me. Why give them anything? So, it's nice to see the humanity in that. There are people out there that are still humans and aren't just trying to get that story. Because I don't think I will ever be someone that wants to get used to it. I don't want to become someone that just says, oh, well, you know, it happens, and I can get past it, especially now that things damage me less and less. But I think that's kind of sad. I don't want to tell another artist coming up, you'll get used to it. You know, I think the industry is a place where if you don't want to be in it, it's fine, because things come and go. So you'll be gone in a second. If you don't want to push for a second shot, then no one's going to wait around for you. But if you have the guts to, and you can understand that the beauty is better than the pain, then it's definitely worth it if it's what you want to do. But I mean, I find that very refreshing, and very makes me happy to hear that, you know, you have that intention.
It was also a while ago, like I feel like in 2020, that online hate, that kind of visceral trolling that mainly happened on Twitter, so well done for not being on Twitter, which the algorithm loved that kind of hate, by the way. It's not just you, it's literally the rage machine is what we sometimes call it in the office. It felt like that hate was at an all-time high for you, but now from where I'm sitting, I think the sentiment has completely changed. Do you feel that? Do you feel like your relationship with fans has changed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out my fans. Even like saying the word, it feels weird to say. I don't really say it, but I don't really know. I have supporters and stuff, but and then I see like fans. I see like Taylor Swift fans and Beyonce fans, and I don't think that is necessarily the vibe of my fans. I think that people are definitely supportive of my music and career, and it helps them. But I just don't know. But I would say that, you know, I think that I feel the love and support. I think this tour I've just been on has really helped me, because since I started music, I've been a live performer. I definitely mentioned that I didn't want to do the YouTube thing. I would rather be the music and not the face. And I just played music on the street, and that worked for me. And to then go into a world where there was no live performing and we just need to stay present on social media, that was so foreign to me. And it wasn't my thing. People had always seemed so offended by the way I looked. And therefore I was offending myself by the way I looked, which was very toxic of me to hate myself, but I don't. And so I didn't want to do music anymore if it was just a face-to-camera social media thing. So by Pink taking me to these huge stadiums, I got to show people that maybe never saw me busking or only heard me on the radio who I am as a performer and as a human. And that has helped me on such a huge level to maybe give not a different side to me, because it's been the real side to me all along. I'm really only a live performer. Everything else I do around that is just trying to keep up. Whereas you got people that thrive on TikTok and thrive online, and live, maybe their music is just not hitting live, or maybe they're still great live. But I'm not that girl. I'm a live performer. And that's where I think I hit my stride, and that's where I started out, and that's how I became successful. And Pink gave me the opportunity to tour my home and to put my best foot forward in a space that really could and has really catapulted me back up to a place where I feel love. And I feel like, yes, I want to do my own Australian tour after 3 years, and I want to, I really want this album to do well. Whereas before I really was in a world of it's okay, it's for me. But now I think there's people that might be excited to hear my sophomore album and come to my tour again and get excited to just do live stuff again. So she's really, really like helped me get excited for my own music this year.
I want to talk about the Pink tour in a second, but first, you say you're mainly a live performer. You are one of the greatest pop songwriters that we've ever had, and you're a producer as well. Do you not, like, What? Like, how do you see yourself as just a, I hope that you know the gift that you have as a songwriter. Like, I was looking at all of the movies recently that you've contributed to, like from Mean Girls to Hotel Transylvania to Aquaman. Like, there's so much of a career there outside of your live performance too.
Oh, I think, and I appreciate that, but I also take myself, I've got to step back and see myself from a position of someone that maybe isn't in the music industry and it's not their business to know. And it's been very good and humbling. I think the people that listen to Dance Monkey are not a reflection of the amount of fans I have. It's not a reflection of the amount of people that will buy a ticket to see my whole show. And it's certainly not a reflection of the amount of people that will listen to my whole album. And that's something that I kind of like it. It makes me feel like I have a pot of people and Dance Monkey's up here and my fans are here. And the fans may look and may care, but otherwise I've just been, given the perfect example to see how many people really just saw me as a song or 2 songs maybe in this country, maybe 3 with Cloudy Day. But I think the way that I have maybe taken on a whole new respect level from a bunch of people that would like to keep following my journey from that tour is because of that live show. And I love that people like you are interested in the other things that I do, but it's just not the case. As a matter of fact, some people didn't even care to know that Cloudy Day was my song. And that's crazy to me in my own country. So... yeah.
How do you know that? Like, what is it from something that someone said to you anecdotally?
Tags after shows and like...
oh, she sings Cloudy Day. What the?
Some people think I'm from the UK. Like, it's just crazy. So some people are even now commenting saying, please come back to Australia on your own tour. And I was like, yeah, I'm already
Mate, I live here.
So, yeah, it's like some people just didn't know anything about me. And, especially the dads.
Wow.
The dads definitely not.
So when's the Pink Tones and I collaboration coming out? When's that happening? You guys working on a song together? What's
Pink
going
came
on?
up to me 2 nights ago on the end of the last tour, and she literally held my hands, looked me in the eye, and she said, I want you to come and work with me on my new music. I think you're the most exciting songwriter in the world right now.
Holy
It's
fuck.
crazy.
Oh my, what did that feel like when she said that?
I don't know. I remember just thinking, like, I'm going to tell my friends you said that.
Honestly, tell someone.
That was really cool. She's obviously, she's had such a long, fruitful career. I don't think she's ever had a lull, especially in our country. And she's got so many successful songs off so many successful albums. And obviously, it's, whether you're me or it doesn't really matter what genre you are, we all want to have a long career and we all want to, be able to thrive as well as she has and stay at the top of your game. And it's so hard to do, like, especially now, everyone's a trend. So she's such an example to any musician and any artist and songwriter in the world. So, she's obviously worked with some of the most incredible producers and songwriters in the world, the best. So to hear that from someone, I still see myself as starting out, especially if you take COVID out of it. I've really been playing live for 2.5 years, I'd say, max. But I'm definitely, trying to keep hitting my stride and my songwriting is definitely something I've been trying to over the last 2 years dive into a lot more. I've reached out and I've asked to be a part of things and I've gotten no's, and sometimes people have reached out to me, and I think that's important. When I have kids one day and I want to take care of them and I don't want to tour for a bit, I want to be able to write, and that's my goal. So I'm setting myself up now to be able to be successful in that world when I do want to take a break.
Who's an artist that you really want to write for outside of Pink? Because obviously that's going to happen.
There is an artist I am writing for that's pretty crazy that I have been writing for, but this artist is like, I don't even know if I can even mention this because I can't even say this, because if I even say this artist is working on music, then like it's not up to me to even say, which sucks because it would be cool. But
Male or female?
Female.
Okay.
But I can't give you anything else because
cool.
One question could just narrow this thing right down. But I would say Adele. I think her music is so pure to who she is. She doesn't stray for a trend, and that's why she smashes it every time. Because she is, it's just so beautiful and moving, and it's so her that if Adele ever thought that I was good enough to be able to write with or for her, then that would just be a true like compliment and testament to how much I have expanded. To go from writing Dance Monkey to co-writing an Adele song, to me would be like, you know, just chuck me into Slipknot next, you know. There's just like, it's
yeah.
like, whatever.
Why do I feel like you two would get along like a house on fire?
I hope so. I mean, I feel like Aussies get along with people from the UK. We've got similar humour. And she also has a really crazy, like, laugh, which, you know, you would never see it in interviews because I'm so reserved. I don't even know if how I'm sitting is fine. I think everything. But in my real, like, Tone's life, I have the most disgusting laugh you would ever hear.
I don't think I heard the laugh when we're working on this, when I was interviewing you for this, I should say. But I know that you had me in stitches. I was laughing
do you really
a lot.
think so?
Yeah, you're hilarious.
Oh, that's
you were telling me
crazy.
about this pair of $900 pants that you got from France, and you were like, every time I look at them, I think, I haven't even worn you because you bought them because you didn't read the tag properly.
Oh, yeah.
You thought they were cheaper than they were.
Yes. No, you know what? That was my first trip overseas, and I just thought we all had the same currency. Not really, but, you know, the conversion is no joke.
And then did you get embarrassed when you went to buy them? You're like, oh, fuck it, put it on the credit card.
Well, they still had it there in I don't even want to say it, France dollars.
What? Wait, why don't I know what? Is it euros?
I want to say euros, but I don't want to embarrass myself.
Oh, I haven't been there. I don't know. You've been there. You should know better.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk about this cover shot because this actually started a very long and beautiful relationship that we now have with Gigi McGee, who I know is a close friend of yours, who goes on tour with you even and does almost all of your photography. She's working on our next Rolling Stone cover currently that comes out in June. And we just love working with her. She is a visionary. What did you think of this shot being used as the cover?
Oh, God, me and Gigi were talking about this yesterday. We had this up and we were looking at it and we were talking about this photo. So how we used white tape on the pants and the jacket to make it look like it had a bit more colour to it because it was all black. Honestly, like photo shoots back then, like scared the shit out of me, like so much. I just never wanted to do this stuff. Gigi was a beautiful blessing that used to put on whatever album I wanted and make it super easy and painless. And my goal was always, Gigi, hands and face are the only skin you'll ever see. And like, as long as I don't look offensive, it's fine. And I let Gigi mostly, apart from some random gloop things and whatever, design it and do it because, you know, I didn't really know anything and I hadn't figured it out yet. So Gigi is incredible. But here's the thing, and this is what I love, the story. Rolling Stone, they didn't want to use Gigi, and I'd never, ever had anyone else really except for one girl from ABC, and I hated it. It haunts me to this day. This photo shoot, people still print these photos out to get me to sign at airports and stuff. I'm like, there are so many more photos, bro.
Like, I'll sign anything, just not that photo.
Gosh, I know. Yesterday, actually, at the airport, this photo of me in my van, I was like, no. But then I had Gigi, and I felt comfortable with her, and I knew I'd have to get a lot of photos taken. So she was my only person. It was a real personal thing. Like, it was a real, no, like, I really don't want to be out there in the world like that. I had a lot of body shaming and stuff happening at start, which I didn't even know body shaming was a word back then. Like, it's not even that long ago, but like, we didn't even say body shaming, like, but like, you know, so I just was very uncomfortable. And then I really pushed to have Gigi at least edit the photos. And then lo and behold, she ended up being able to actually take it and edit it and just like make sure she like knew that what angles I liked or pick the picture. And she makes everyone feel heard, whether it's, you know, you guys, the client or the artist. Like, she'll make sure everyone's happy. And, you know, her deadlines are insane. Like, she is so quick. She takes photos every night at a show, and at 4 a.m. I get the folder sent to me and I post at 8 a.m. That's what we've been doing all tour. And she like stayed with me in my apartment at the last one, and she's up until 4 a.m. and we have a flight at 7. And so I wake up at like 6 to go to the airport and with Gigi. And like I see she sent this at like 5 a.m. and then she's up with her bag ready to go. I'm like, oh, Gigi. She's
a
just
weapon.
the best, yeah.
And you know what? I'm so glad that we went with her because, of course, it started this amazing long relationship that I hope will continue forever. But also to have the artist be comfortable with the photographer, it's everything. You're not going to get a good intimate shot if the artist isn't comfortable with the photographer. But I wanted to ask, so she goes on tour with you. She's like part of the crew, right?
Yeah.
But she has a camera. So do you have rules around when she can and can't photograph?
No.
Like she could just shoot whatever she likes?
Yeah. I think
There's
that's
that
the
trust
relation. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, she can take as many. She's got thousands of tour photos. She'll pick like 70 or 70 per thing. Here's some great stage photos. Here's some great before stage photos. Here's some social photos, some choir, like band photos. And then I'll go through and post what I want. And what I don't post, she just sends to the rest of them. And they, like, you know, unless I'm like this one, which I don't really say. Like, you know, I've just recently, like, you know, just been lot more confident with myself, and with like more self-love becomes a lot more freedom, and I'm happy. I don't have to fake it. So I'm like, look, I genuinely feel like I'm in a great place in my life. Why wouldn't I want all those moments? And, you know, so I think she goes for it. And I say, get whatever you want whenever you want. And, you know, if you think you get something special, send it to me. And you know, if not, she's got probably buckets and buckets of, I don't know, USBs, I don't know what camera people have, but of just random photos. And I wore a skirt for the first time, which you
rocked it.
No one had ever seen my legs. And I wore shorts for the first time on this tour, which is crazy that a pop artist in 2024, his biggest thing right now is that they actually got their pins out, which I think is, you know, wild. But for me, it's obviously it's a journey for me, and it's me evolving into someone that just is a little bit happier, and well, a lot happier, and you know, in turn, like I think I'm a lot more open.
It shows, you know, like it. You can see it from your social media, from your performance. Although you've always been amazing and charismatic and sassy and fun on stage. Actually, that has not changed since that Laneway performance that I went and first saw you at. But that's radiating from you now. You're absolutely radiating.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, speaking of tours and stuff, Macklemore, best moment from that global tour that you did with your personal hero?
Yeah, we've done 5 tours. He'll be here next month. We're going to do our 6th one next month here.
Oh, wow.
But, gosh, I still love him so much. He's my favorite. People, I don't know whether you should meet your idols or not, because I have been given the best example of one, you know. The best part of this tour with Ben, there's just so many.
Did you guys go thrift shopping?
Yeah, that was before. that was like
before the tour.
when we were recording for Chant. That was a great time. But now, okay, so obviously it's, if you follow me in any capacity, you know how close I am with my on-stage and off-stage family. That's important for me as a human being to maintain relationships closely. And if we don't have it, you're gone. I know it seems harsh, but no one's left yet. So I would say last year we went to Europe with Ben. Ben let me bring my whole crew, and he has a whole crew that I've toured with, like with him on stage, not support him. Like I've been on tour with them on their tour bus. I come on and sing with Ben. I sing the hooks. He does the verses. So like I'm really close with Ben's family too, which are very similar to mine. They are just the best. And so I brought them together on that tour. And when I say, like, my girls were going into Macklemore's girls' room and getting ready together, and the boys were getting ready together, and there was, like, a love affair, and then there was, like, you know, there was so much love. And then we'd be walking around Vienna, and then we'd see, like, Macklemore's drummer with, like, 2 of my backing singers, and they're scootering around on scooter. Like, it was really a whole family. And I told Ben this. I said, you need to let these people do what they do. And what happened was the same thing that happened with me and these people. When I first met these people and they came on tour with me, I'd lost 2 friends, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to go on stage and perform. I was done. It was the second show of the tour, and I was on stage at soundcheck, and I just started crying. And then this choir like walked out. Instead of standing behind me, walked out onto the ground in front of me and started singing to me. And through that tour, and then I decided, okay, I'll get through this one show, And then I lent on them more and more, and I said, okay, I'll get through this next show, until, you know, I became so absorbed by a love I'd never felt before, and a feeling I'd never felt, especially on tour, especially in that time of my life. It was probably the first tour after this interview, that I was overcome by this amazing feeling of acceptance when I felt like I didn't have that, and just love when I felt like I didn't have it, and I needed to go home and I didn't want to be anywhere. And then Ben, at the start of this tour last year, he had a friend pass away, and also something else pretty bad happened to him at the same time, and he'd messaged me, and we knew that he maybe wasn't going to be doing the show that night. And throughout the next few weeks, I saw the same thing happen to him with the same crew that I'd brought that had done that to me years before. And by the end of that tour, which was only like, this was like towards the end, so like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, me and Ben were speaking, and, you know, he just couldn't believe it. He said this was the best tour he's ever been on in his life. He felt so much love. He really needed that. And, you know, he got through the same loss that I had with these same people, and it made me feel so happy and grateful for these people in my life that not only are there for me, but they walk that walk every day, whether they're with me on tour or not, that they just did that for, you know, one of my biggest idol and one of my best friends in this industry. And Ben was so open to allowing them to kind of help heal him, and it was just like really special. And then, yeah, so anyway.
That's a beautiful thing. And I think you're very good at picking your people, you know, from Abby and Kurt back then. I know Talia's still with you now, Tals. Like that, it's pretty, you are a very good judge of character, obviously, and you keep people around you that support you and bring you up. But then what you don't realize, which Abby alluded to when in this piece actually, was that you're bringing them up in a way. You're actually inspiring them to achieve more, do more. So Ben must do the same with his crew, or perhaps you inspired him a little bit too with how you are with your team. That's amazing.
Yeah, definitely there was give and take there with him, but I'm still at such a grateful point in my life, and I hope it never changes. And I don't know how much fame or success you need to have before you stop appreciating the people that make it possible for you to, you know, play your music to the masses or go on tour or be anywhere, whether it's fans or crew. But Ben's a great example of someone that's been successful for over 10 years and is just so grateful still.
Well, life is very different for you now. You know, like you said, I just wanted to be a busker. You started off busking. Now you're a millionaire. Like what? Like, what is that like? Like what's your relationship with money now? How does Tones and I spend her money? What's your focus?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. These pants and this jacket were both from the Salvos.
Oh, they look so good.
Oh, you know what? This was a great buy, honestly. They don't match completely, and that's a risk you take by going there. But
it's a move, is what it is. It's a concerted move.
Comfort is still key. Nothing has changed there. But I definitely, you know, you look after the people I love. I just got my nana a place close by. My papa just passed away, and they were, you know, it's the luxury of being able to do that for your family. And so we got to spend a beautiful last moments of Pa's life with them 5 minutes down the road, and Nana got to create new memories with him in the new space before he passed away. And now she's so close that my friends pop around and see her when I'm on tour. Like, she's right next to my sister.
Sometimes she comes on tour, sometimes she comes on stage with you. Very cute.
And I'm not gonna just say that like saint looking, like it also, like, it gives me such a luxury in life to be able to get things, of course, whereas I was counting coins at the start of, definitely, but you know, I don't know what my relationship is with money. I invest in properties. I hope I invest well, but sometimes I wonder. People try and take advantage of me. Definitely having money means, you know, people think you're dumb. Tradies try and charge you 30 grand for the smallest job, and you have to keep your wits about you, and you have to, you know, more time than not, people get offended because I stand up for myself when I'm saying, like, definitely tradesmen. All you have to do is question a man and they think you're being an emotional female. And all you have to do is ask questions back, and then they go, "Oh, I'm not." And I said, "Neither am I." I'm asking you a fucking question.
Yeah, this is my house.
Oh, literally. And I sometimes even have it with people that aren't in my initial touring crew, but outside that party when we're talking about gigs coming up, they want to be involved. No, you want the bag. You want the bag. I'm a music director. I'm a creative director. If I need your help, it's because I don't have time to do it, not because I can't. And that offends people. And I make sure everyone knows, I can do these certain things. So don't try and take these opportunities from me. I will never not like do anything, but I will need help with them. And that's a very big prominent point in my life. And I think people just want the money sometimes. And that's really, really clear.
It's hard to pull the wool over someone's eyes when they know that they can do exactly what they're paying you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a powerful spot to be in. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think definitely I've become way stronger in the way I say things. I'm definitely not offending people unless they're easily offended, but just speaking straight facts or asking more questions can sometimes throw people off guard because there's still, obviously, as I said, like I don't talk much and people will always, and for every artist or anyone in the public eye, even maybe yourself, people are going to assume whatever they want to assume. And that's fine. And that's none of my business. But if you want to come into my life and you want to talk to me and you want to have business with me, well, then you're going to learn who I am. And I think that's important. And I need to maintain that strength, not for myself, but for all females in this world, in this industry, and not even in this industry. So I think, maybe made some men mad at some point in time due to money, and maybe they didn't get some.
The phrase, "I'm not intimidating, you're intimidated," comes to mind.
Yeah.
Let's talk the second album. So how many singles we've got? Dreaming, we've got I Get High.
Yeah.
Is that the two? What else?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got Dreaming, I Get High. There's 17 tracks.
17, yes.
Crazy that I don't have a
listen.
name, but I do have one that I love. So one of the next singles is called We'll See Stars. And I think I don't want to overthink it.
Is it just you songwriting this one, or are you
okay, so songwriting, yes. I think there's one song I wrote with Jenna Andrews,
Okay.
who's a songwriter from LA. That seems like so a cliche. She's a fucking beautiful person. I really, really love her. And I've written songs with other people, but I usually throw them straight in the bin because everyone's the same over there. Sorry, I don't even care. Everyone is the same.
You've written a song about the LA scene. Like, we know that
Like,
you see that
songwriters just go, this is a great melody. Because and then everyone wants to have a say to get their piece in there so they can take a percentage. And it's usually not giving anything to the soul. And so I think what Jenna did is she takes time to get to know you a bit better, and she's not like emotional about a no. Like, no, we wrote this whole song together and I said no, but she didn't care. And then we wrote another song together, I was like no, and she didn't care.
That's the game.
And then we wrote this other song together, I was like yes, and then she was like yes.
And she understands you now and what you like now, and she can have that better working relationship with you now.
She's cool. Like, I would work with her again, but like, I worked with a few different producers. I worked with Jerome Farah, who's one of my really good friends. His brother Jacob, who's a great producer, and he's one of my really good friends. I've had some of my choir members come in. I've said, write some BVs. I'm okay to sit back on this one. If you think you hear good BVs, write them in. And of course I'm going to credit them for that. And of course I'm going to give them whatever they deserve for that because I'm not that kind of person. So they, some of them even are going to be credited in the track and that's really exciting. But in terms of people sitting down with me and writing melody and lyrics, nah, I don't want that. Not yet. Maybe, wait till I'm give me 20 years and I'm tired, I'm over it. Maybe let me find a new songwriter then and be like, okay, I need a new album, one more. But this is what I do.
Come back to her.
I like this more than anything. Songwriting, more than anything, I love songwriting. So I don't really want someone to fill that void in my life. That's the one job I will not pay someone to do for me because that's the fun one. Like, can someone else organize my calendar? Yes, I don't want to do that. And pay invoices, I don't want to do that, but I would love to write the music,
And you proved that you don't need, the 20 songwriters that certain other artists have to help them either.
Well, sometimes I want to just do it as a social experiment. I'll write one on my own all right, you write, you have 20 people in a room, you guys write like same brief, and then I want to like put them out and then be like, what? Like,
A/B testing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Because I just watched the J-Lo documentary, and like some of the songwriters in there I worked with in LA, some of them are so fun, and I'd love to work with them again. It didn't work in that moment, but I'd love to give it a go again. And I see so many people in this room, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people in this room. Someone's going to go this way, someone's going to go this way. They're all going to be writing the same song, and that's just like so much in one song. Could be amazing though, like you get the right people, but that would just be wild. Sitting back going, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that part too, you know?
It's kind of disjointed in a way, and then you've got 20 agendas.
Yeah.
And sometimes the agenda is, I just want a credit on this because, no thanks.
Yeah.
No thanks. So how wild is it that there is no other female artist who has had a song streamed more than you? Not Adele, not Beyonce, not Taylor Swift. It's Tones and I who made that record. What does that feel like?
So that is just something that I don't think has sunk in. I don't know if it ever will. Like the last 5 years have just started to kind of sink in. And even what that song did in Australia, that hasn't even sunk in. I just don't understand that, because these artists are like, but I think what is important to say is consistency is everything. Doing it once, fine, that's great. Like, that's amazing. And I love the song. I love it, love it, love it so much. People think I hate it. It just defines me. And I need that to stop, because that's that one song that I wrote when I was on the street, living in my van, busking, should not define the rest of my life. And it's fine if it does, whatever, do you. I don't like it though. I don't love that it defines me, but I'm working every day to just, Fly Away did really well. Cloudy Day did really well. Bad Child, that's like one of my biggest tracks ever. I don't know if it's in Europe or whatever, but that did really well. Johnny Run Away was, already number 8 on the ARIA charts. Was my first song I ever wrote. So in Australia, this is my safe space. I can do a whole 1 hour set and people know the words. But sometimes when I go overseas, people are just waiting for that one song. And then I have to end on that song, because if I usually end my set on Fly Away here, but if I go overseas and I do Dance Monkey second last, everyone's going to the other stage, and I'm sitting here playing Fly Away to my friends.
But Gautier does that. Like when he performs, like he hasn't performed in a very long time. Obviously, we're waiting for him to release the follow-up to Making Mirrors, which had somebody that I used to know on it.
Yeah.
But he will start his festival set with that song, because he's like, fuck it, I'll keep the 3 people that are here for my other songs.
Oh,
yeah, that's a bit of a bold move, though. I don't know if my ego could take it, like starting with my biggest song and then just watching the crowd dissipate.
I had one festival where it was in New Zealand. It was actually so early on in my career. It was in this era, where I'd only had a 30-minute set because something went wrong at the start. Anyway, I went on for 30 minutes. And in between every song, they just kept yelling, "Dance Monkey, Dance Monkey." Like,
it's literally what the song's about.
Yeah. And I think they were doing it because that's all they came for, and they wanted to just, like, go. But I had to keep going, like, I'm going to do it soon. Like, oh, so embarrassing. But, you still have moments like this all the time. But, yeah, sorry. To your point, that's a wild, the thing that I don't comprehend is my first year, not even first year, in my first 3 years of music, I still broke and hold records in the UK. I still hold the global record for a song that was at the top of the charts for the longest amount of time in the world, and I still hold that record. And that was on the global Spotify chart. That's 120 days, and every other artist for that amount of time really didn't like me. That all those artists that expect to go number 1 with their random single they'll drop at midnight, they didn't like that, which was fine. I copped it there. But and then we've got, like, obviously Australia, which is pretty wild, and it's my home. And then to know that even, like, 5 years out, that song is still breaking records, is that, I think that's what's so incomprehensible. Like, that's why I need to respect that old Tones that was busking on the street and that did that stuff and that wrote that song, by herself and didn't even know what songwriters were, didn't know that people came in and wrote music for people ever. And I think that the major success, the most success I've ever had has been truly from myself. And anything past that point has been me, you know, being helped along the way. But all that success from that song that came was truly from myself. And I think that's a powerful message for myself. And like, you know, someone's going to come along. I thought it was going to be Justin and the Kid Laroi, but thank goodness. Someone's going to come along and they're going to break these records soon. So I'd love to live in this moment while I can. And I will be here waiting with a hug for them as soon as they do, because I have definitely been dealt a really, really good hand by people streaming my music. I'm very grateful for that.
Well, bathe in it, enjoy it. Yes, you've been dealt a good hand, but you work fucking hard. You're an incredible artist at what you do. And I will say, I'm never one to be like, oh, go me. But in my piece, I said that I believe that in a not too distant future, we will be talking about Australia's biggest pop exports, and we'll be talking about Sia and Kylie Minogue and Tones and I. And I think I'm right. And it's only been for a couple of years. So,
well, I definitely won't be moving overseas if that helps. But that is...
in terms of the music exporting, meaning like globally known Australian pop artists, you think of who it is right now. It's Sia, it's Kylie, it's you.
Wow. That's a really, really powerful statement from someone that I'm sure knows every single Australian artist in the
I wish
in the world.
I just believe it. I believe it. And thank you so much. Thank you for trusting me to write this piece on you. And thank you for revisiting it with me. I really appreciate that.
Definitely looking at it, I can see like a very different human. Like someone I'm very proud of, but also someone I know that if I was looking at her now, I would definitely sit her down and let her know it's okay. Not that it would have helped, but you know, I know the exact feeling I felt in that moment, and looking at that cover is definitely I wonder what I'd say, you know, 4 years from now to myself now. And I hope that it just keeps getting better for my own personal happiness journey, and whatever Tones and I does is just icing, I guess.
Amazing. I love you, man. I don't know how to end it, but I fucking love you.
Love you, man.